So I pretty much have all the PMF done. There's a couple spots I wanted to get an extra layer on, just to be certain that it was waterproof. And that's the wheel wells, and while that's drying I can start painting the underneath of it black. I went to Home Depot and picked up this exterior paint and primer, flat. Like I said, it's black. I'm gonna be painting the whole bottom of the camper with it. That's pretty straightforward, just painting that. But this PMF, I did quite a few layers of wood glue over top of it, and I know the camera doesn't like pick up the texture of it, but this stuff is like plastic. Like, it is so hard and so, I don't know, I feel really good about it. It's definitely like, I feel like it's going to be very waterproof, but I don't know, we'll see. But yeah, it's like a hard plastic after it dries. It's pretty cool. It's pretty neat stuff. So if you're doing PMF, I didn't sand in between coats or anything like that, just because it's the bottom of the camper, so I don't really care about the texture. But even not sanding and just putting like 4 or 5 coats on this of wood glue, it's still like pretty smooth everywhere. So if you wanted to do something like this on the side of your camper, I think it'd be fine. But yeah, like I said, I don't really care if there's some strings and some, like the strings kind of dry and it like that, but this is the bottom of my camper, so I don't really care. But yeah, this stuff's pretty cool. Definitely might use it on future projects too. But yeah, so now I'm gonna start painting, and while those wheel wells dry, and get a couple layers of paint on there. It's a little cold today in my garage, so I got my heat going. So yeah. Alright, so the bottom of the camper, I got like, I don't even know how many coats of paint on here, probably like 5 or 6. Those are all done. I'm just waiting for this last little bit to dry. I didn't go all the way into the wheel well because my wall's gonna attach here, and I'm thinking I'm gonna PMF that corner where that wall attaches, so I don't want any paint there. And I did get paint a little too close in some spots. I'll try and sand that before I PMF it, and hopefully it works fine. But as far as everything being painted and this thing ready to flip back over, I think I'm in good shape. Yeah, see, I got pretty far over here. I'll have to sand that or something, but it's all done. It's just waiting for it to dry, and then I can flip it over. Oh, and I also painted my garage door because it needed painted anyways, and that'll need a couple more coats. But yeah, so I'll flip this over and finally be able to start building this thing. All these little details and stuff have taken a lot more time than I thought they would, like making sure every seam was PMF'd and waterproofed, and the multiple layers of PMF and stuff. So yeah, so next time you guys see me, this will be flipped over and I'll start building on top. Thanks for watching.
Okay, well, oh my god, I feel like the fucking floor is moving.
How much weed did you smoke at your dad's?
Hang on, let me see what's going on. this is really dangerous.
You
could break your leg. Oh my god. Wait! Whoa! Whoa. Hang on. I need to go. Whoa!
We are working on mounting the body of the camper to the trailer frame. So, this is what I got here. Another guy on YouTube does it with these, or a similar setup as this. Not sure if it's this exact setup, but so I just took his advice on that. And I'm using 3/8 carriage bolts with this like threaded, it locks into the wood with these teeth right here, so that while you're tightening the lock nut onto it, it won't spin inside the hole. So I'm gonna attempt to use these. These ones are threaded. I'm not sure. I didn't really have any other ones at my local Ace Hardware, so. But I'm gonna take those carriage bolts with that funky, sharp, pointy washer thing on it, stick that through the framing, and then put a washer on it, and then my lock nut. So I went around and I drilled 3/8 holes. I have 4 mounting spots on the trailer, and it goes down into, I don't know if I get down there if you guys are gonna be able to see it. It might be too dark. Yeah, it's way too fucking dark. But those bed frames that I cut the chunks off of, where I cut them in like 2-inch sections, and I welded them to the frame, and I pre-drilled the 3/8 hole into that piece of that bed frame before I painted the frame, so it's been on there. So I just went underneath the trailer and drilled up through where these 2x4s are sitting on the floor. So I just did that, and I'm just gonna go around and put these carriage bolts in. But in order to get these sheets of plywood that I'm using for my floor to sit flush on here, I'm gonna have to take a Forstner bit and countersink that down a little bit so that the head of this carriage bolt sits flush, and I can put that piece of plywood on here and it's not bumping it up any. So I'm gonna go around and countersink all of these, and then come back and install these bolts. And then, along with those 4 mounting spots on my frame, I got one there, one over here, one up there, and one over there. I'm also going through the other cross members with these, I don't know, self-drilling screws, wood to metal, 2 3/4 inch screws. Well, my floor is only 2 inches thick, so I'm gonna go through and just make sure that these are below the surface of the wood so that my plywood floor can sit on top of it. But I'm gonna go around wherever it's sitting on a metal cross member and drill these also into it to tie the floor to the frame, as well as the carriage bolts. So that's what I'm gonna do now. I got my Forstner bit on there. I'm using a 1-inch bit. that should be enough, but if not, I'll let you guys know through my mess ups so that you don't have to do the same thing. But yeah, so that's what I'm gonna do now. All right. So they went in pretty flush, pretty happy with it. It was kind of hard getting that Forstner bit centered on each one of my 3/8 holes. I should have, I don't know how else I would have done it, but it turned out. The floor is gonna sit flush on it. It'll be all right. So now I'm just gonna go around and install my washer and my locking bolts. Well, that totally fucking backfired on me. Because these thread out the same way that these nuts thread on. I just tried to install these lock nuts on there, but they spin on the same direction that the carriage bolt spins out of that spiky washer. So as you go to tighten that lock nut, it's threading itself out of the spiky washer. So I thought I was doomed, but I'm just gonna go around and use normal nuts. That way there's less like pull and tension on the carriage bolt, so it doesn't thread itself out of the spiky washer. And I'm gonna put some Loctite on the threads, and hopefully that'd be good enough. So yeah, find the right piece that goes on that. Just find the washer version of that spiky thing. Don't get the threaded one, and then you can use the lock nuts. Or if all you can find is that, just use the normal, not lockable nuts and fucking Loctite them. Easy as that. So now I'm gonna start cutting the wood to go on top as my floor, like my actual floor inside the camper, which will get covered with some vinyl flooring, or I haven't decided yet. My floor is broken up into 3 chunks. That's how I did the bottom. I did kind of want to stagger my seams, but to get the most bang for my buck out of my plywood, I'm gonna end up putting the seams, splitting the 2x4s the exact same way I did the bottom. Beautiful. So I always measure once, cut twice, and I measured it. Luckily I gave myself too much and didn't cut too much off, so now I got about 1 inch hanging over here. It's a happy accident because I got this gap right here in my wheel well. I wasn't really concerned with that, I didn't really care if that got covered or not, but my plywood is barely over this 2x4 to drill it into it. So what I think I'm going to do is notch this out about 1 inch so that this will go over You'll see, you know what I'm saying. It'll go over here and slide right up against that, splitting the 2x4 and giving me something to screw this piece of plywood into. So I'm gonna do that and then I'll show you guys how it turned out. That worked out really well. Fit right in there, covered up most of that gap. Not really too worried about it. Split the 2x4 and I just barely have a little bit hanging over here, which I'll just take a flush trim router bit once I get all the floor panels in and trim it all flush with my 2x4 to make sure my wall fit there. I'm not putting any wood glue down because if at any point in the future I want to get to these carriage bolts or anything else holding the camper to the frame, I want to be able to just unscrew my floor and get to those if I need to. If I glue it down, I'll never be able to get it back up. So I'm just screwing it. Screw it. Alright, the floorboards are done. They're put in. I mean, they're not done because I still got to go around and put screws in this middle section, but I got them all cut out. I had to piece a couple pieces, kind of fit those together because, like everything else, I don't want to have to go out and spend another, I don't know, $70 on a piece of plywood just for this middle section. So I used what I had and I think it'll be just fine. I'm pretty sure I'm gonna be building a bed on top of these wheel wells and we're gonna be sleeping on top of a platform on top of the wheel wells. So I'm not even concerned with under the bed. That's just going to be storage. At least that's what I'm thinking right now. That could change if I see something cool that I like a lot and I could change my whole idea. But yeah, so there's the floor. It's all put together. I need to go pick up a flush trim bit. I'm going to need one anyways, or a couple for when I cut doors out and Phylon and all that. But yeah, I'm pretty happy with this. It's definitely solid. Feel good. Looks good. I'm happy. I'm exhausted. And I'm ready to call it a day. Alright. Well, thanks for watching.